Hello and welcome. I'm Angela from Stamping Beauty in Christchurch, New Zealand. Today I'm going to be creating this card, which is for this week's Hop Abroad Design Team hop. It's a gratitude hop this week, so I'm using this beautiful textured floral stamp set and coordinating dies. I picked this one because it's got these beautiful floral images and also that lovely sentiment with a grateful heart, which I thought was perfect. So I'm going to start with a basic white card base, and because I've got quite a few elements on the front, I tend to use the thick cardstock. I just think it handles it a little bit better. And then the first thing I'm going to do is create this panel here to go on the front. So I'm using the Distress Tile 3D embossing folder. I don't know about you, but when I get something new, I tend to use it and use it and use it, and it always becomes my favourite. And this definitely is. So I'm just going to pop it through my die cutting machine, just with that grey panel for embossing. Just try and do that fairly slowly so I don't make you seasick. And as you can see, it creates this beautiful tile pattern, and it has missing bits that gives it that distressed look. And then I'm going to bring in some scrap paper, and I'm going to add some gold splatters on the back. For that I use the Winsor and Newton ink. So just give that a good shake. It does tend to settle. And then I've got an old aqua painter, so I just pick even what comes out of the lid is often enough, and I've still got water in there if I need a little bit of that too. And you can either flick like that, and when it's quite wet you do get a really good flicking pattern or good amount of splatter depending on what you want. I tend to find when I do flick, which I do have to sometimes if I don't have enough liquid on there, it does sometimes give a spray pattern, and I rather avoid that. So I'll just set that aside to dry. And then the next thing I want to do is create these pieces here, these foliage pieces, and I've got two of these dies from the set, and I'm going to use vellum. So I'll just bring in my little mini machine, perfect for these smaller die cuts. Hopefully that will go through, not too wide. Put those on there. Actually, I was just thinking I really could get more than these two out of here. See if I can. Enough room to get those on. I think that will work. Just run that through. Once again, try and do that a little bit slowly, and then with these more intricate ones I do tend to go through twice. Just take that back through. Just take those out carefully so I don't tear them. So I've got those two, and I've already die cut a couple to save a little bit of time. So I've got those here. And then the next thing I want to do is stamp and die cut these floral images. So I've got Daffodil Delight for the first one. And I'll just bring in my piece of foam because the photopolymer stamps and just get that nice firm base with that. And these are, you know, I've got that lovely sort of different variegated look to it. So it just helps Don't have to do any of that double stamping. And you get that, see, variation of colour. So that's one. And this is quite a good time if you're making something like this. Make a few, because then you've got a few cards at one time. The leaf here, I've just, this bit up here, I've cut it down a little bit. This is soft sea foam. With that. And I've got Melon Mambo here. I've got all the dies ready too to die cut all these images, which if you don't like fussy cutting, this is a perfect set. So it has all these matching dies. And this is Flirty Flamingo. And we've got that die there. So I'll just bring in my die cutting machine again. And pop these on here. Just line those up. Sometimes they just move a fraction, don't they? Once that's in place, then I just sort of pop that in and then plonk it down just to make sure it stays in place. And I'll cut that down shortly. And sometimes, yeah, just lining it up, just got to get it in the right spot. Quite a good little TV job if you're watching something or listening to something, a podcast or something. It's quite a good wee job just to, if you've got a lot to do. I always like doing it and listening to something. So they are easy to line up. And then the last one. So it doesn't take too long. And what I like about these, this sort of set, I love when you get die cuts like that. You can add to the back, just add a bit of interest. Oops. And that's the last one. So I'll bring back my embossed and splattered panel, and that is going to go on the front there. So I'll just add some dimensionals to the back, and I want to get enough that it keeps nice and flat. That's probably good amount. Pull those backs off, and then want to get that lined up, get that nice and even on here. And get that down. And then I want to pop these on. And what I'm going to do is, because it's going to be all covered and hidden under there, I'm just going to add a little bit of the Stampin' Seal just in that sort of general area. And this one here sort of out over here. And this one here, just that, actually a bit more like that, I think, tucked up there. It doesn't really matter. You can, if it doesn't work, adjust it. Actually, I've only got 3 of those. Over exaggerated what I was doing, so just 3. I don't need that other one there. I'll just tuck that away for another day. They do stick up a bit, so if you don't like that, you can always just pop a tiny little blob of glue just under like one of the leaves, and just pop that down, and then just pop a block or something on it just to hold it till it adheres. You don't need much, just tuck that down for now. I don't mind so much if they float. It sort of feels like they're floating, like they were in nature, how they would be. But sometimes it's a little bit hard to get them in an envelope, so I'll just hold those down. And then with all these flowers here, oh, and the leaf, what I'm going to do is just cut that off there and that off there. So I've just got those two middle pieces. And then I'm going to get my big flower, and I'll just pop a couple of dimensionals on that. Doesn't need too much, just to pop it up and keep it in place. So about sort of there over top of those leaves at the back. Then this one here, just pop one of those in the middle, and that is going to be tucked in about there. And then just this last one, just pop a half on there, that should be enough, and just tuck that down here. It's still not quite dry, but that's okay. I'll just tuck that over to one side. And the next thing I want to do is stamp the sentiment, and I've embossed that in gold, so I'll just use my embossing buddy and get that stamped. I'm going to trim that down so it doesn't have to be straight. And then I've got my gold powder, so I'll just make sure it's got a good coverage. And I'll just grab my heat tool and just heat that, won't be a moment. So that is nicely embossed. So the next thing I'm going to do is trim that down, and I'll just use my little, pop that out of the way. I don't know about you, but when I'm creating, I end up getting smaller and smaller area. And I'll just trim this down. I want to get that not too small, but not too big either. Sort of a nice amount around it. And just check that that looks straight. Just trim, see it's coming out. Just trim a little bit off the edge, just get in a bit closer. So I think that's okay. And then, as you can see, I've got that lovely bow there. So I've got some of this gold trim. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut right up the middle. Just find when you split a ribbon, it often makes it a little bit softer and more pliable too, to tie into a bow. And then with this splitting it in half, you get that double bow look. And you don't have to worry about being totally straight up the middle, as long as you don't go off the side, because you won't notice whether it's straight or not once you tie the bow. And you can tie it normally, or you can just do it this way. Just hold that piece there, twist that around there, twist it around here, and bring this around and then pop that tail up through that loop. See, so go round, and it's a little bit tricky sometimes. I'll just try and get it. So you want to go, so you might try and do it separately, one under, see, just does not sometimes want to do what you want to go in under here. Come up through that loop at the back, and then the same with this one, bring that around. I think any type of bow you try and do with this is tricky with the two loops, the two strands at least, and then come up through there as well. So I've got my two strands there, and then what I do is put my finger through those loops and then just pull tight. Oops. You can just, gosh, this is just not working very well today, is it? Pull those loops out. Some days it just goes like that, doesn't it? But you can faff around until you get how you like it. And then all those bits just add a bit of interest to your bow. All those little bits of tinsel and things coming through. So I'll bring this back, and then I just want to pop my leaf in too. So I'll just pop a bit of dimensional on the back of there, and I just want to tuck that in and under here. There. Just manipulate it to where you want it, and then, so getting myself in the middle now, then I just want to adhere my ribbon, so just get a glue dot, and I'm just going to tuck that sort of into there, so it's just going to tuck in just by that flower, so it's just nestled in there quite well. And I can splay those around, and actually what I can do is just trim that down a little bit, so it will make it easier to go into the envelope. And then I want to pop on my sentiment, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of layers of dimensional on there, just so it can avoid the knot in the bow. So I'll do a couple of layers. So I'm just stacking them on top of each other. And then I'm going to line it up so I get it nice and straight. See, one's come off on my finger. Oh dear. Let's try and take that. That's not going to work, hold on. As you can see, it's gone a bit flat, so I'll just try and tuck one of those. Let's take that back off and tuck that under there. So you can see it's nice and flat, it's not all lumpy and bumpy, which is good. And then lastly, I've got some of these gorgeous gold pearls, which if you've seen a few of my videos, you'll know I love. Just love that they're nice and elegant, and they tie in with that gold bossing and the gold ribbon and the gold spatters too. And then I'm just going to tuck one, just pop it in a different place this time, and that is my card. It's all done. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon if you'd like to be advised when I next post a video. Thanks again. Bye.